Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another video. Another beautiful night. Taking a walk. Something I wanted to mention to you all regarding the media. You know, the Western media, of course, is not trustworthy, and nor are they 100% accurate, and they have a lot of biases, of course. You gotta think who runs the Western media, and especially when they're reporting on the Middle East. And a lot of people, many of us, are affected by those biased news reports. And because we grew up on it, we can't really differentiate. You don't know, can't tell heads from tails, what's true, what's accurate, what's false, or what's embellished. Basically, you got embellished information out here. So I'll give you a prime example. During COVID, there was, I think you all may have heard about the Ethiopians that had crossed the border from Yemen to Saudi, trying to basically, they do it all the time. Somalians, Ethiopians, the Yemenis, they all cross the Saudi border in the south to come there and try to find work. And it's a lot of illegal people in Saudi Arabia, and they're very merciful. They don't kick you out unless, they do a raid. I don't know if it's protocol or what, but they do raids sometimes and gather people who've been there and didn't try, I guess, to get any type of residency. But it's normal. It's normal that people cross the border just to come to Saudi to try to work. To hustle on the streets, sell fruit, whatever they could do, work in shops. So during COVID, there was this the story about the Ethiopians. COVID had just hit, just hit, and of course the Ethiopians that's crossing the border don't know what's happening. They're just trying to get some food. Not food. What am I talking about? I'm walking past a restaurant. They're trying to they're trying to work. So they're worried about, getting to a city and getting settled in. So they got detained at the border by the border police and put inside of a detention camp or housing. And it was cramped because it was so many of them. But that was the order from the government that was for everybody. It didn't matter if you were coming in through land or through plane. And at the same time, so, as soon as COVID hit and we got lockdown and everything, that situation in America with, what's his name? George Floyd, the guy who got unalived on camera by the police officer. That happened. It was around the same time. So a sister that was in my group, she sent me a video. No, not a video. She sent me a news report from England. Or it may have been from America. I can't remember. And she was like, let's put this in a group. So I said, no, I'm not going to put this in a group. It was covering the story about the Ethiopians, and I read the story, and it was very inflammatory speech in the story. They were trying to tie together the George Floyd situation, which of course he's black, and basically take stabs and insinuate things at African American Muslims, because the story was about Ethiopians being detained in Saudi, and they made it a racial thing when it had nothing to do with it. It was 100% protocol, and they were living in hard conditions because the border police are not going to disobey the government. They said nobody can move about. Everybody in Saudi was locked down. They couldn't go outside past a certain time. They had curfew. So they're not going to let illegal immigrants come in and just be roaming around trying to find whatever. They don't have housing or anything. So they kept them contained. The toilets overflowing. They're feeding them. They sleeping on the floor. You cross the border. قدر الله وما شاء فعل. You cross during the very start of COVID-19, something that the current world has not seen since the Spanish flu. So everything was new. Everybody got put on lockdown, and they got caught in a crossfire, pretty much. So this news outlet made it about race, took stabs at Saudi and Muslims and black Muslims. They made it racial so that black Muslims could have hatred towards Saudi and tie it to them following a religion of Arab who treat black people badly. And I had to the sister, of course, she didn't dissect all of that stuff, but I know how the kuffar roll. So I said I had to give her, unfortunately she was upset that she couldn't post the article in the group. She said, because we want everybody to know the good things and the bad things that go on over there. So I said, well, this is pretty biased. And I had to highlight the inflammatory speech. I had to highlight and point out to her what the kuffar intend, what the reality is in Saudi. I had to give her some insight and some perspective because, of course, I lived there. And I talked to everybody. I talked to maids. I talked to, people who are so-called at the bottom that individuals always like to focus on and say, oh, they are oppressed and they are beating up the maids. I got stories. I have stories. So I try to get down to the bottom of everything and get perspective, because you can't take every news that comes to you, especially when it's coming from the West, or negative behind Muslims who hate Saudi. They're jealous. They hate and they're jealous of Saudi, and they want to create lies. So anyway, I had to give her some perspective, let her know what goes on in Saudi, let her know that it's normal for illegal people to be there, and Saudi does nothing. They don't stop them. They sell stuff on the street. They don't stop them. They don't arrest them. They don't do anything. And I said, in addition to that, the people in my group, they want to come to the Gulf, right? Emirat to be specific. But we also post news in the group or information in the group about surrounding countries, right? Oman, Kuwait, Saudi, because they're close. So I give information about those countries as well. So she wanted to post that particular article, and like I said, I explained to her what was going on, what was the reason why she can't post it, and another one of the reasons was that not only was it inaccurate, it's biased, it's inflammatory, it's inciting, it also would cause people in the group to say things against the government that can get them in trouble. On WhatsApp, they monitor you. There are many stories that I have shared, even in the group, of wives who were abusing their husbands verbally. They weren't in the college at the time, but when they came to the college, they were arrested. It was an Egyptian man who was abusing, saying things about Saudi, and when he came to the Gulf, they nabbed him. No, it wasn't Saudi, it was Oman. When he came through, they nabbed him. So you have to watch yourself. And I said, I don't want to be responsible for spreading misunderstanding. And I know that people don't know what's happening. And I know that Westerners tend to really go in on Saudi. A'udhu billah. And this is a group with a bunch of Salafi women. But it's still, the Western side comes out they speak against the government. Allahumma musta'an. So I didn't want any parts of that. And I said, absolutely not. She was very adamant about posting it. And I said no. And I explained all of those things to her. All the different nuances and everything. And then she was like, okay, I get it. I understand. I was like, yeah, it's bigger than what meets the eye. You know, it's more to it than what meets the eye, sis. It really is. So I would advise y'all to be careful. Take it with a grain of salt and ask questions to people who are on the ground. But Allahumma musta'an, most people don't do that. A lot of people these days, they like drama and they like negativity, and they want the narration that the Arab are racist and all this kind of sick, crazy stuff through hearsay. You know what I mean? When we know, like I said, especially if you're from Ahl Sunnah, nobody's perfect, people fall short. But this is something that you should stop and fear Allah, fix yourself, because Allah warned us about taking qabr from a fasiq. When a fasiq comes to you, check the information, verify it first before you harm people without knowledge, right? Spreading lies, taking a position against people that you have no clue about, and and you got people who, of course, they go to Saudi, of course, Mecca and Medina. They don't know a Saudi from a Pakistani who's been raised there, or an Irani. They don't know who's who because you don't live there, so you don't know the people. You meet somebody that's rude or arrogant, and then you place that on the entire country. How unjust is that? When in fact, if someone does the same thing to you and they stereotype you and the people that you come from, you're going to be up in arms. How's that? Oh, you're just racist. Well, guess what? You meet people who are like you. If you encounter racist people or rude people, it's because you got some of that inside of you. Purify yourself, purify your mind and your heart. Okay? You have biases and racism in you. So Allah allows you to meet people who are like yourself. Assumptions that you make, lies that you tell, positions that you take just because of one encounter, but you have deep down biases against them culturally. Like you have a lot of the Asians, they talk trash about the Arab. They do. They call them stupid, this donkey, this Arab donkey, and this and that. But let somebody say something about y'all, and then what? Oh, they're just racist. Oh, they're, the Asians, the poor, what they say, the poor laborers. Yeah, they have slave labor and blah, blah, blah. Right. I covered that in racism, that video I did, racism in the Middle East. But yeah, check your bias. Check your bias. I like being fair. I don't like oppression. I don't. That's just me. That's how I am. I look at things from all angles because I don't want to oppress anyone. I've been oppressed. I've been slandered. Maybe it comes from all of the stuff I've been through. People believe in lies about you. That's 100% buhtan. It's just straight up lies. It's not even true. Not even an inkling of truth. Happened in my youth. Just slander. Spread across cities. People didn't know me. Talking about me like A'udhu Billah. A'udhu Billah. May Allah take revenge on the people who started those lies, that slander. But anyway, yeah, I like to be fair. So just be careful what you take and what you spread, and ask yourself, why do I believe this? And how can you believe the same media that tells lies against you in your own country? For the Americans, African Americans specifically, the media always depicts you in an evil light all the time. They never celebrate you. They never highlight and celebrate the actual productive citizens of the society. But you rush to believe whatever they say about the Muslims from the ummah that you're a part of. That's strange. Same thing for those who are second generation immigrants to the UK, Europe, whatever, America, Canada. You believe whatever they tell you about the Muslims overseas, but they also talk down and make you believe that the countries that your parents come from are all backwards. Don't you think that causes some type of confusion and self-hatred in you, and that you should be weary and that you shouldn't take narrations from them? Or have you adopted the same ideas and gotten poisoned by these people? Of course you did. There's no way in the world you can live amongst people and be around them, eat their food, live in their land, and not become like them some way, some form or fashion. That's just impossible. It's not going to happen. You're going to imitate the people you live amongst. Even if you didn't fully assimilate to their culture, you live amongst them because you think it's some type of benefit. You revere them in some type of way. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Anybody who encounters me, I'm always going to give you a flip side. I'm going to give you another perspective. Because when it comes to the Muslims, you're supposed to get a Muslim's excuses and not you don't get a kafir excuses. But it's bilaks nowadays. You got the Muslims thinking well of the kuffar, making excuses for them, and putting the Muslims down, which is from the 10 things that nullifies a person's Islam. So people got to be careful, you know. You got to be real careful. Check your bias. May Allah purify our hearts and guide us and help us, you know, to correct our affair before we meet him. That's all I got to say for the night. Inshallah, if anybody has a comment, leave it in the comment section so we can talk about it. And don't forget that Hijrah man-day sacrifice. And I will see you all in the next video. Inshallah, ma'as salama.